What were you saying?
There it is.
If they haven't joined now, they never will. Bastards.
Fuck them.
7 followers. 7 followers. That's your fault.
No, here we go.
325 followers, I think.
You want a bunch of hits right now? Here we go. Oh, Raw's ridiculous. How come they did this? Why did they do that? Tony Khan's going to go out of business. That's what you get for being a super fan and thinking you could run your own company. Tough guy. Why do I sound like Hacksaw Duggan? Yeah.
What is this?
Fucking stupid. Yeah. So if I did that.
It's like Smart Mark podcast.
I don't
My
know,
sources
tough guy.
tell me the class of the castle wasn't even in
If
the way.
I were you,
country.
if I were you, Drew would have beat Roman at King of the Castle or Castle of the King or whatever it's called. Oh!
You're watching a 2x4 Power Hour.
By the way, we can make this joke because I read
references to this.
I hope this is true, but I remember I read something today that he is cancer free again. He has beaten cancer again.
Yes.
This fucking guy goes through so many rounds of radiation treatment. It was in the 20s or 30s, I think, this last time. I could be wrong.
Good for him.
But I mean, it was a lot, and like he fucking every on his Instagram he'd post it every time he got done with a treatment. Like I read that he is cancer free. I hope I read that right. It's fucking awesome. It really is.
Get him,
awesome.
Hacksaw. Kick its ass.
Dude. Fucking how many? Fuck this guy.
Take a fucking 2x4 to that cancer. God damn it.
But anyway.
What's up, guys? Our wrestling podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious along with Just the Total Package, Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry.
I don't know what's happening.
Just stories from the diehards.
I need to brush my
sharing
tongue. What the
opinions
fuck?
with
Look
you.
at that.
Today's topic:
too much coffee and beer.
missed opportunities.
Oh God, I gotta brush my tongue.
Sting's NWA title reign. in
It's gray. It's like a dead man's tongue.
For audio fans, give us a listen. Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud.
I had a lot of coffee today and a beer. Oh,
Google.
that's awful. I think I'm dying.
Podcast. Or watch our videos on YouTube at our wrestling channel.
I brush my tongue every morning.
Can you hook us up and give us a
I have
follow on
5
Instagram
blueberry blow pops
or
every day.
Twitter at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast.
It's the lighting. I
You
swear.
guys
I'm
are
not.
the
I'm not unhealthy.
worst. You talk over all
What's up?
the social media
Oh,
references.
sorry.
Dave, what are you
And then
talking
now
about?
now
God,
you
you're
won't say
rambling
anything
on
about
already.
This whole thing.
Rambling
it's so
on.
weird how that worked. It's going to
Huh?
get real quiet
Ugh.
as soon as I finally stop the rant. And there it is.
What are we talking
Let's
about,
get
Dave?
into it.
Have we hit record yet? Or
Yeah, we have.
do your
Yeah,
opening?
we-
Do your
yeah.
opening. Stop ticking around.
Yeah, how come you're not pitching the social media? This is
Yeah,
kind
do
of
the social media and all your
this is
spiel.
unprofessional.
It is so unprofessional.
Huh?
It's weird.
Yeah.
Jess, what brought you to this topic?
We're
You
gonna
wrote it.
do
Why we doing
missed opportunities. Sting's 1990 WCW/NWA Championship run. Did they miss an opportunity? We did. The Ultimate Warrior was the very first episode of our missed opportunity series, and I feel it's only fitting now to do Sting because they're kind of connected because they were Blade Runner tag team together. They were a tag team in the UWF before they both branched out, and Warrior went to WWF and Sting went to NWA.
Get them Blade Runners, bro.
And Sting was with UWF, Bill Watts' UWF, and then when that sold, he ended up in NWA/WCW. So, and ironically, they both won the biggest world title in the United States in their respective companies in 1990 by beating that company's big legend, Hulk Hogan being WWF, Ric Flair being WCW/NWA. So I figured, you know what? Let's talk about it because a lot of people look back on Sting's 1990 title reign as kind of a failure.
And another connection is the little Ole Anderson and his little ruse of like getting into a gimmick he couldn't get out of, and the Black Scorpion, which we'll talk about later in part of this big 1990 draft the title reign.
I think
was pitched about the Ultimate Warrior and trying to.
I think the answer is obvious of what was wrong. I don't think it was Sting's fault. Let's be honest. We'll probably talk about that. WCW
But all
was
the
a
clues that Black
goddamn.
Scorpion led to
can
like
we
this
also
is Warrior, this
say-
is Warrior, this is Warrior.
It's never Sting's fault.
No, it's not. We love Sting. I truly love Sting, and he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
1990 defined the career of Sting in many ways.
It did?
After a productive 1988 and 89 session, Sting suffered a disastrous setback to begin 1990. At the end of 89, Sting was being positioned as the next world heavyweight champion. However, he would team with the current champion, Ric Flair, and even become a member of the Four Horsemen in November of 1989. Can we talk about the politics just in,
You what?
in that?
You want to be my partner? Come on, partner. That was the politics. Flair was actually Booker. Flair was Booker at the end of 89. Like, product-wise, 89 was like a great year. So I think the struggle that a lot of fans have is that when Crockett sold his share to Ted Turner in 88, so of course you're going to connect the NWA / Crockett promotion, which was like the biggest part of the NWA back in the territory days, and you're gonna want that again. When Turner bought it in 88, it was like a brand new company. Like, people don't want to admit it, but it just was. There was no leadership. The territories were dead by that time, even though they tried to limp them along for another couple of years. Territories were dead. Vince killed everything. So in 88, at the end of 88, when Turner bought the company, it was like starting over. You had this fucking guy, this billionaire who loved pro wrestling, but had no idea how to run a pro wrestling company. I know a lot of people right now are like, Tony Khan, AEW, different thing. And so at the end of 89, Flair had the book, and they were trying to build like the next star. He really liked Sting. From their Clash of the Champions match in 1988.
Oh, you really like Sting? Oh, wow.
He liked Sting.
How obvious
So
is that?
ever since their
think
Clash of the
Sting's
Champion
good.
match, in 88 when he went to that draw, it kind of made Sting as a character. Sting kind of like associated himself with Dusty Rhodes. They did tag team together. So Sting was getting the rub all throughout 88 and 89 with big stars. So Flair at the end of 89 was like, let's put the rocket on Sting and see what happens. He was charismatic. He had face paint. The women liked him because he was a young, good-looking guy. Kids love Sting. So Flair was like, let's just do that. Flair gives it the book kind of at the end of 89, beginning of 90, and then shit starts to fall apart, like Dave said. He's going to read on, where like after have you gotten the Starcade thing yet, Dave?
No, we're not even close.
All right.
Sting won the round robin tournament at Starcade of 89.
We're right there. What do you mean
Get
not
a
even
shot.
close?
I'm just messing with you, bro. I'm
You
sorry,
Latino
I
heat,
couldn't-
motherfucker.
I couldn't help it. In
Yo,
of
Jess, not
89
even
of said
close.
year to get a shot at Flair's world heavyweight crown.
That was
This
Future
led to
Shock, right?
Yes, yeah. It was a round robin
Yeah.
tournament where they did tag team and singles wrestling, and it was like the core 4 tag teams and the core 4 singles
God,
wrestlers.
such a great idea, and I
I
remember
know it
it
wasn't.
falling a little bit flat, but it was such a great.
WCW
Like, just
had
same with
really
Battle
good
Ball.
ideas.
Such a
ideas.
stupid. No.
Same with
no,
Battle
it
Ball.
wasn't.
Battle Ball's a fantastic idea, but it never worked. Like, it was never a fun
Yeah,
product to watch.
Dave, I think you're thinking about Dave. You are correct, right? Like, so on paper, you could go like, "That sounds good," and then like when you see it in live, you're like, "That's just the dumbest shit I've ever seen." And like that's what the round
It's
robin
almost
tournament
too
ended up
much.
being.
It's
It's
almost
weird. By the end, so at Halloween Havoc 89, Sting teamed with Flair, who was a face, to take on Funk and Muda. So Sting was kind of like attaching himself with Flair. Anderson and Blanchard had a falling out with WWF, and they left WWF at the end of 89.
God,
So-
we're just talking about that.
Yeah, they brought Anderson back in. So now Anderson's back in WCW at late 89, like December of 89. They decide to keep Flair face, or Flair decided to keep himself face after the Funk feud, and they brought Sting. So Sting joined the Four Horsemen, which Dave's going to read on right now. Which is odd, which is really odd to think that if I asked you right now, do you remember when Sting was a horseman? Most people are going to be like, no, he was a horseman.
Yeah, no,
Sting
you
was a
don't.
legit Four Horseman. Not a Paul Roma, not a Jeff
He was
Jarrett.
legitly
he
in the
was legit-
Horseman, and he wins this round robin tournament to get a shot at Flair's world title. This obviously had led to tension in the group, and Sting was summarily dismissed from the Four Horsemen on February 6th of 1990 at Clash of Champions 10 Texas Shootout
Yeehaw!
after refusing to relinquish his title shot against Flair. thus restarting their rivalry.
I do
There
have
you
to
go.
say, though, the segment where they kick Sting out, great piece of business.
The whole deal is this. You got 2 hours to make up your mind, and you're no longer a horseman. And if we ever see you again, you're not going to be quite so lucky as you are tonight. Wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Hey, wait a minute. I want to go.
Come on! Look at this!
I'm trying to tell you, I want you some time. Now do the smart thing. Smarten up. Get out of this business. Get rid of that contract. Get out of my life. You're done.
They get him in the ring, and then like they pin him against the corner. And Ole took over the book after Flair did, right? So Jim Ross tells a story, and it's fucking funny. If you go back and watch the promo, Ole looks like a dick because every time anybody else says anything, he's like, you shut up, and you look like he's fucking struggling in there. But it's because Ole was the booker, and he was trying to keep time because it was a live Clash of the Champions. So he thought they were short on time. So like every time anybody would say anything, he's like, you shut up and you listen and let me talk. Like, but he really meant that in real life because he was like, we're fucking out of time. Shut the fuck up. So like, it was later on that night, Flair and them were in the main event in a steel cage. Sting runs down to get his revenge,
wacky.
and it's fucking
like Buzz Sawyer and Muta and who else?
Dragon Master. I think Dragon Master. or
And
something like
Dragon
that.
Master
Yeah.
versus Ole, Arn, and Flair.
Yeah, it was like all in the cage.
Ridiculous.
Sting runs down. He tries to climb the cage. When he climbs the
Twice.
cage,
I think it happened on the second time.
yeah, he jumped up. He got pulled down. That was part of the script. He jumps up on the cage a second time, tries to climb in, fucking tears his ACL as he's climbing up. When he gets pulled down, you see Sting go, oh, fuck. Like, and he's being held up by a bunch of people. Flair is supposed to come over the top of the cage and attack Flair in the aisle. Flair had no idea, or attack Sting in the aisle, sorry. Flair had no idea that Sting was fucked up. So Flair runs down. He's fucking beating on Sting as hard as he can, and you see other people holding him up, and Sting's like, fuck, like grabbing his knee. He fucking tore. It was an ACL or was a meniscus. I don't remember.
It
but
was his patella tendon in his knee. So his kneecap was just, he could feel his fingers below the knee, and it was just his leg was swiveling underneath.
Yeah. Fucking Sting.
And no one told Flair. And because Sting was supposed to climb the cage and go in.
Yes.
And he didn't. And Flair, it's awkward. Flair's like
I'm
sitting on
coming
top of the
outside
cage.
if you're not coming in. And he
That's
jumps over the fucking-
exactly what
You fucking bastard! I booked it.
God damn, that's such a good
You
Flair
do
impression.
not go against the script. And he jumps over.
So Flair.
You tore your patella tendon. I don't care. And he goes out. I wrestled for 78 days straight without a break. Woo! If you can't do it, woo! Shaming
So
Sting.
Flair went into business for himself and
I
jumped
crashed in a
outside,
plane and I still wrestled.
and then jumped
that
on
night.
Sting's back and then broke the other kneecap. I'm just kidding. But
So,
yeah,
yeah, I
Flair
remember
didn't know and feels
It
bad
was
to this
weird,
day,
and watching Sting he's being held up by people who are quote unquote holding him back, but you could clearly see Sting like, no, I'm going to lean all my weight on you because I can't fucking stand. And then Flair's like, like attacking him, and Sting's like, shit, like it's fucking crazy. Like it was totally crazy to watch.
There you go.
And by the way, Dave's going to read on. What were the plans, Dave? This is where I'm going to really dig into the shit and have a great time.
Yeah. We talk about the legitimate knee injury. Sting was originally booked to beat Flair at Wrestle War 1990 in February for the title, but due to that injury, he would be out for almost 5 months.
So think about this for a second. So Dave's going to read on. Warrior beats Hogan at WrestleMania 6 on April 1st of 1990. WCW was actually going to pull the trigger on Sting in February and have him beat Flair.
Yeah.
But because the injury happened, they couldn't do it until the Great American Bash 1990, which was in July. So Warrior ends up beating Hogan first, and it looks like WWF. Can you imagine? So how many times did WCW get critiqued for copying WWF. They were actually the two tag teams, the
They
Blade
were
Runners,
on the
right?
route to where
They were going to put the
WWE
title on
copied
Sting
them.
about 2 months before Warrior was ever going to beat Hogan. If I'm not saying that WCW would have beat WWF, WWF was still by far the #1 wrestling promotion in the United States, no question. But how much more of an impact would Sting's reign have had if he was the first guy to win it and then the Warrior wins it later? But instead, he gets injured, which don't get me wrong, build up in pro wrestling great, right? I think putting the title on Sting in February was too soon. I love that they waited till the Great American Bash and built it. Unfortunately, it was a real injury that they had to deal with, and that's why that happened.
Right.
But if Sting would have beat Flair in February, what would that have done to the Warrior? I'm not saying, again, WWF still #1 by far. Not saying anything would happen. But would Sting's run have been had more momentum? He's the face painted guy of the other company, charisma, blonde hair, appeals to the kids, great body, all that stuff.
I think more than anything, you have the belt when you're healthy. I think the end of this, and where I'm skipping a few kind of paragraphs here, and Dave will get to it, but so total knee reconstruction should take 8 months. So they rushed it. He was back in 5, and Sting admittedly in shoot interviews says he still wasn't at 100% when he fought Flair for
months after. Yeah.
Right. So then you now have the belt, and you are now starting your reign as champ on kind of a bum.
You're honoring the storyline, but on a kind of an injured guy.
Yes. Yes, because they were going to give it to Luger during his absence, and Flair said, "No, I told the kid I'm going to give it to Sting."
And that was another thing. That's another cool story too. That Flair, once they touched at Clash of the Champions '88, and they went to that draw, Flair had this weird connection with Sting. And he's like, I love that guy. And Flair from the beginning was like, I love this guy. He's great. He has charisma. One day he'll be world champion. 88 wasn't the time, but Flair knew back then. So Flair talked to Sting, and when they started building it, Flair's like, I'm going to drop it to you in February. And then when Sting got injured, they should have put it on Luger. I'm going to be dead honest, because Luger had momentum too. Luger was fucking over as fuck back here. And Luger was heel, and they turned him face. And by doing that, they played off the real-life relationship they had with Sting. And Luger's like, he's my real best friend in real life, even though we kind of don't get along in the ring, because he didn't say this, but I'm a heel and he's a face. But, we're best friends. That instantly turned Luger face. Sting's injured. Luger was fucking super over. He should have beat Flair. But Flair in the background, like Craig said, he was like, you know what? No. I promise Sting. When Sting's healthy, I'm going to drop it to Sting. And that's pretty fucking amazing. That's a really cool, a lot of people connect Steamboat with Flair, and they should, because they had great rivalries in a long time. But Flair always said, my greatest opponent was Sting. And he was like, and I think it was a kinship that Flair felt. Flair was at that point in '88 where he was kind of becoming a major veteran, and he found this young guy, and he's like, dude, this guy gets it. He's got charisma. He listens to me. He understands. I think Flair really was heartbroken that he couldn't drop the title to Sting in February. It's not a missed opportunity, because that's what this episode's about. But it's like a different layer. It's like, man, just think about it. If Sting won the title in February, it's a different Sting.
I mean, it's one of those times. My injury was one of those that needed reconstructive surgery.
Yeah,
and you don't know if you're really going to be able to come back.
Right.
And if you can come back, are you? Is it going to be too late? Will you have missed your window of opportunity? You had a window, you were in it, you were on the ride, and I saw so many guys get hurt or injured or have other personal problems and have to get out and lost that ride and tried to come back, and when they came back, things were different. It wouldn't click for them again, and so. And it's a dog-eat-dog world. Pro wrestling is, we're all buddies, we all love each other, but, it's very competitive.
He never got injured. To all of our point, to Craig's point, he wouldn't be half of himself leading afterwards. He would never have had to recover. Can you imagine a full fucking amazing Sting who could perform 100% in the ring, winning the title in February and going on for the rest of the year in '90? I think his reign would have been so different. But that's not where I think the missed opportunity is. Dave's going to read on. I think the booking is what murders him.
At Capital Combat in May, Sting was accosted by the Four Horsemen and thrown into a metal cage at ringside. In a promotional crossover, Sting was rescued by his buddy RoboCop.
So important to note, this is 5 months later. So this isn't the next
month.
RoboCop
was there.
This is literally
he had an injured knee, Craig.
Right.
You're gonna let
And-
Sting go willy nilly out, and if you're gonna
No.
put someone out there, goddamn RoboCop's gonna get the job done.
I hope you show the clip or some sort of photo of how
I'm
slow RoboCop walks down to the ring. But it just real quick, just important. Like, so all the momentum of being kicked out of the Horsemen and that kind of thing. This is 5 months later. 5 months, even in 1990,
It kind of
is a
started
li-
drying out. Yeah.
it's a lifetime. So
Yeah.
Sting's back, lost all his momentum, and he has to be saved by a fictional fucking character, RoboCop.
Did you not hear me say thank God RoboCop
I'm
was there?
sorry.
Or you just
No,
trying
my
to
bad.
pretend like okay?
No, yeah, my bad.
Caged by the Horseman, but here comes RoboCop, Bob.
Sid Vicious, Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson, they all attacked him, threw him into the cage. But look at RoboCop now as he's approaching.
He is not
They're backing away from him.
He's not intimidated, Bob. RoboCop going right to the cage. This steel.
be a bucket of balls till we get W.
Oh, gosh almighty. He's pulling that door right off the hinges. Woohoo! What strength by RoboCop!
I'm in
we're
the
on the same
storyline right
page.
now. This is great.
Yep.
After
Yes.
Sting's recovery, he finally defeated Flair for the
USA!
NWA World Heavyweight Championship on July 7th of 1990.
Sid is backing off of
The great
RoboCop. Sid and
American
Arn
Bash.
they back off of RoboCop.
It's so
they
awful.
beg off of RoboCop.
It's so awful.
Yep.
But yeah, finally he wins the title at Great American Bash 90. It was a okay match. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was Flair very formulaic at this point. Flair was, already past his prime here, and he was ready to turn it over. If you go back and watch that match in a bubble, it was good for Sting. I'm glad that he got to win the title. Great pop, good stuff. The right person won, obviously.
Here comes Flair, going for the figure four. Sting's got him. Inside cradle. Can this be all? Yes! A new heavyweight champion of the world has been crowned. Sting has upset Ric Flair to win the heavyweight championship of the world. The Stinger has done it.
But we're going to get into it right now. This is where I think the missed opportunity is, because you have a guy that just came off that horrific knee injury that probably came back sooner than he should have. And now you put the world title on him. And like Craig said, he's not a healthy world champion. He's a half of what he used to be. That's not a good move for you to put the world title. That's why I think Luger maybe should have won the title for a while, and then Flair could beat him back, and then Sting would beat him maybe at Starrcade that year. Can you imagine if they let Sting get healthy? I think the missed opportunity is what you're going to read on, Dave, is once they put the title on him, I don't think they did this because they thought he was injured. I think they did this because, again, they were trying to out WWF the WWF, and it fucking failed.
So, Jess, are you talking about where Sting went on to feud with contenders like Flair, Sid Vicious, that kind of thing? Vicious appeared to defeat Sting in the title match in the 90 Halloween Havoc, but the Stinger, that Vicious pin, was revealed to be an imposter played by
So here we go. I
Perry
talk about the
Windham.
missed opportunity of the Ultimate Warrior. Warrior beats the biggest wrestler in WWF history, which is Hulk Hogan. Flair beats the biggest wrestler in NWA/Crockett era, Flair. And then what do you do? You give. I was critiquing saying they didn't give the Warrior the fresh heels. Hogan got Earthquake. That's the fresh heel. They didn't do that for Warrior. They gave Warrior a rehashed Rick Rude. Here, you could go chest. Wait a minute. You're wrong, though, because they gave Sting Sid. Sid was brand new. He was fresh or whatever. But they fucked it up with the ending. They tried this hokey, stupid ending where, they all get distracted on the outside of the ring.
This doesn't play Sting as a face at all.
Yeah. So Sting gets outside the ring. He leaves the ring. He goes to the back. He brawls to the back with the Horseman. Then he comes out, gets in the ring, picks up Sid to slam him. Sid falls on top of him and pins him. But wait a minute. There's two Stings. The Horseman tried to pull a fast one on him, and they came out. Sting comes out with ropes tied around his arm. Like, they tied me up in the back. In 30 seconds, they tied me up or whatever. And Wyndham was dressed like Sting in the pink tights and the pink face paint, and it looked like. So the referee starts the match over, and then he beats Sid. I'm like, okay, here's the deal. You overshadowed anything. You overshadowed Sid being a new challenger. You overshadowed your brand new world champion trying to get any kind of footing under him by doing this gimmicky. And then Dave's going to talk about, at the same time that this happened, another stupid gimmick was plaguing Sting. Dave, what gimmick is that?
I don't wanna.
Talk about it.
Okay. During Sting's title run, a masked man known as the Black Scorpion.
Oh, the
would
what?
Taunt
What's the name?
the Black
Scorpion. That's
Scorpion?
mysterious. I'm
Yeah.
intrigued. Go on.
He would taunt and attack Sting on many occasions. This included many shoddy magic shows,
Oh,
such as Halloween
like
Havoc
mind tricks?
1990 before
like mind
his
trick.
title
No,
defense
actual
against
legitimate magic tricks like David Blaine and David Copperfield.
sleight of hand.
So I'm going to defend it. Maybe we can get an idea who he is, Sting. And to do that, fans, let's watch this.
Yeah, let's watch it.
Sting, are you listening? Of course you are. You're too much of a hero and a champion to refuse to hear this tape. Sting, I am going to destroy you. A long time has passed since you last saw me. Oh yes, you know me, or at least you did. But don't try to track me down, it won't help. Even if you saw my face in light, you wouldn't recognize me. My face doesn't look the same.
So apparently, there's a 25-minute wrestling bios YouTube clip, which is usually fantastic, and a nice summation of this Black Scorpion gimmick. And it's basically Ole Anderson, who had the book, fighting with Jim Herd and didn't know what to do. And so he literally just wrote down in pen and paper, Black Scorpion versus Sting, and had nowhere to go with it, and didn't
Herd
know
loved
who
it.
Black Scorpion, and Herd loved it.
I
So
love it.
from the very beginning, this was doomed. Black Scorpion isn't Sting's reign during this whole thing was fighting Black Scorpions across the country, different guys, because it was Al Perez in the beginning. Didn't want to do it long term.
They're all under the mask. Yeah.
They didn't
By
know
the way,
what they were going to do.
So after the Clash of the Champions, before the Starrcade or whatever, the Clash of the Champions where Sting beat or he faced what he thought was the Black Scorpion at the time. It was
Right.
I think it was after Halloween Havoc, was the highest rated Clash of the Champions ever.
That's
They
amazing.
had something, and then they fumbled it.
That was the
Yeah.
collision course in December.
Yes.
Right.
No, it was before that.
The
It was
cage match
It was Clash
ended with
before
Sting
that.
pinning and unmasking the Scorpion, who turned out to be Flair.
No, that was that was Starrcade in 1990. So they built
was
this whole
after.
thing. By the way, Craig's right. Ole Anderson came up with this just to fucking spite Jim Herd, who was like, "We need some kind of bells and whistles. We need to be like WWF. We need to make the money."
But I'm gonna put a mask
Yeah.
on the Black
So then,
Scorpion. and they're gonna
so
be different
Ole
people
Anderson
every
was a
night.
dick. He's like, "Why don't we just put a mask on him, call him the Black Scorpion?" I love it. So they, from day one, never knew who the Black Scorpion was going to be. They never fucking knew it. They drug it out for like 3 or 4 months to where it was going to pay off
Wow.
at the Clash of the Champions. Sting beats a guy who was Al Perez under the mask, but you weren't supposed to know that. And then another Black Scorpion comes out on the stage. He's like, "I'm the real Black Scorpion." So Sting's like, "Oh, shucks." So then they keep pushing this to Starrcade 1990, where in the main event, Sting was going to defend his world title in a cage against his Black Scorpion. If Sting lost, obviously he lost his world title. If the Black Scorpion lost, he would have to unmask himself.
Didn't we see Sting go up against the Black Scorpion, or at least come down in Los Angeles?
No, he
he
was
just-
doing Black Scorpion Sting house shows all before this.
We saw this as,
But it was
as
different guys,
teenagers.
different body images. They never, and then
like at least LA Sports Arena or something. We saw it.
and then Black Scorpion, like his the messages and the like the robotic voice and that kind of thing alluded to like remember Venice Beach or remember Tulsa,
Yeah.
and it all alluded to like Blade Runners or like whatever. They had no clue.
Lame.
Yeah, they had no
Um,
idea. They were just throwing clues. So as Dave's going to get to, at Starrcade, that's the main event in a cage. If Sting loses, he loses the world title. If the Black Scorpion loses, he has to unmask. And it's fucking stupid Ric Flair.
And he flies! The heavyweight champion counting. 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner and still world heavyweight champion. Here come the other Scorpion.
And you,
Which it
and you
never
know
was.
it's Ric Flair from the second he walks out.
Yeah,
But
but
because his
at the
body
last
is
minute,
totally different.
at the last minute they pulled Flair in. They're like, "You got to fucking do this." Like your last direct feud was against Sting, so let's just do this. So like it was awful. Like Sting's title reign to me is a missed opportunity here in 1990, and Dave's gonna get on to he eventually loses the belt, and it's like
There was a rumor. It was actually that it was supposed to be Wyndham, and the Wrestling Bios guy alluded to the fact that Flair took it for the team, knowing it was a failed gimmick, because I guess Sting had already kind of got over on Wyndham, because Wyndham was the fake Sting,
right?
And so he took it and saying, "All right, I can probably recover from this." Wyndham couldn't, so that's when Flair went into Starrcade knowing this is bad. Let's just eat some shit.
I think people drastically underestimate Wyndham. We can talk about that another day.
Yeah.
But Jesus. Sting's first championship reign ended on January 11th, 1991, when Flair defeated him in a rematch from Starrcade.
Well,
Sting
and by
would
the
not
way,
win
so
his
Starrcade happens. He pins the Black Scorpion with a crossbody off the top rope, and then Flair doesn't even unmask. He tries to run out of the cage, and then Sting ends up pulling his mask off, and Jim Ross is like, "It's Ric Flair, my God!" And I'm like, and everyone's like, "Well, I mean, that's not a big secret. We all know Flair hates Sting. He just lost the title to him like 5 months before." So it was just like my missed opportunity is this: knowing that he's injured. You can still protect him. Why saddle him with this stupid gimmick if you didn't know who was going to win? That's the biggest sabotage, right? Like, we're going to come up with a gimmick, and we're going to put our new world champion in it. This guy just beat the greatest wrestler of the 80s.
That's the number one assumption,
he
that
beat
the
Flair.
person you put in that seat, Chess, is not good enough.
I guess.
That's what,
and a lot of
that's what
people
they
shit on
assume
Sting
from the
for that,
get.
going, "Oh, well, he just didn't draw even after he beat Flair, the house shows didn't improve or whatever."
You
I'm
think
like, yeah,
Sting
but
wasn't drawn
you
at
have to
this
give,
point?
you
Get
have to.
outta here.
I will even defend again. I'm defending the Warrior. It's the same thing with the Warrior. Well, his houses weren't as strong as Hogan's. First of all, who is? Secondly, like, you didn't give him anybody new. You put him in tag matches with the Road Warriors against Demolition.
You didn't feed him like you fed Hogan.
You put him against an old Intercontinental opponent like Rick Rude. Same thing with Sting. You give him this fucking black skimmick bullshit, this Black Scorpion bullshit, where
You're
he
not
does
putting
magic
anybody-
tricks.
Yeah,
He does
you're
magic
putting
tricks.
nobody against him. Yeah.
It feels like sabotage, because even when they started it, and for your number one storyline with your world champion, you didn't know why it started, you don't know where it's going, you don't know how to end it,
right?
And it fucks him over, and it's months long,
and then you blame Sting when the house shows don't improve.
Yeah.
Well, even the Black Scorpion was designed to not be on the house shows, so it's not like Sting could tour the house shows and take on the Black Scorpion every week. It's not like that even happened. They didn't even set him up right.
No.
And then they give him Sid. They give him Sid a fresh heel, which he was kind of getting hot at the time. And then they do the whole fake Sting at Halloween Havoc and the whole double Sting. And I'm like, you can't even give him a straight up opponent for him to beat to look like a strong world champion. You can't even do that.
How does Sting not look at this whole situation and go, I'm jumping.
I'm done.
He never did.
No.
He never
and
jumped.
then,
Oh my
and
God,
how does that go? How do you lose the Black Scorpion and
That's a
then
great
end up
point.
end up like Flair beating him
How in the
anyway
world
in
did
January?
Sting not look at everybody and go and call Vince?
Fuck am I
Dave's
doing?
So
Yeah, he's
fucking
all-
right. Yeah. How did Sting not want to jump? Maybe he was locked in a contract. I don't know.
Jess, I'll tell you, is this a missed opportunity at this point? Yeah. Are there several notions where Sting should have carried WCW in tandem with Flair when he didn't? Yeah. Could I say that Sting should have beaten Triple H at WrestleMania?
Well, yes.
Yeah, missed opportunity. I can't understand why Sting is the ultimate, and why we didn't. He should have been the first episode of missed opportunities. Sting is the ultimate epitome of missed opportunities. He had more talent than the Warrior, and the Warrior was on top in a much bigger federation. Warrior also had his missed opportunities because he was being fed the wrong way too. But Sting
had the talent.
Like, oh my gosh. Sting over his entire career, they missed opportunities.
We'll kick around the room. Missed opportunity, or was it just fate?
Yeah. No, Sting's entire career is a missed opportunity on booking.
Yeah, I always think back, like, Hogan and Flair wouldn't have let that happen. I think if Sting was probably too young and winning his first title.
He could, yeah, he
just
didn't fight.
wanted to kind of keep
Craig,
quiet.
Sting was never too young. Why wouldn't you go over on Triple H?
Well, not even that. What Craig means
Because
is like
he said okay.
he was
I'm
too young
saying-
in 1990. Like he couldn't fight. He didn't want to
If-
fight the bookers. Flair was a veteran. If they booked Flair wrong, Flair would be like, "Fuck that shit. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that." Hogan, of course, we all know what Hogan would do. He'd be like, "I'm not doing that shit. That doesn't work for me, brother." But Sting in 1990, the fresh young Sting wasn't gonna buck up and be like, "That doesn't work for me." He was like, "Whatever you guys want to do."
This is ridiculous.
Well,
I'm fighting.
I
a guy
got
in a
to,
mask
and
with no
honestly,
name
he was
entire
respecting.
Okay,
I got
but
to beat
Sting at
Flair. I got to beat
WrestleMania
Flair.
saying, "Let me go over."
Missed opportunity, but
Yeah.
god damn it, Sting. You're such a nice guy.
He,
time. Love you, Steve Board.
I love you, son of a bitch.
nah, that's right. That's right. That's my brother. God damn it.
God damn it.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Check that
For
door for heat
audio fans, give us a listen.
Check that door for heat
On
Sting.
Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio.
Check that title for heat Sting.
Or watch our videos at YouTube at our wrestling channel. On social media, can you just hook us up? Good gravy.
Yeah, fuck you, guys. You
On Instagram
stupid
or
fox.
Twitter at O.W.P.
Come on.
Or on Facebook at our wrestling.
Who
Podcast.
else yells like
I hear-
this? Nobody.
I hear on Facebook 90% of the people are already dead.
Okay.
This is
What's up?
Dave, Jess, and Craig. I don't know. With the O.W.P. signing off. Have a
Suck
good
my
one.
balls one.
Yes, dear wrestling, the death of freedom of father choice. Doesn't this don't need to like you